A 5-year-old girl grips a red crayon so tightly her knuckles turn white. She doesn't look at her mother. She doesn't answer when called. She just draws. And draws. And draws. On the paper, a male figure lying on a bathroom floor. Details no child should know. Details no one shouldn't even know at all. The most disturbing part. This drawing was made 3 weeks before this child ever learned who Elvis Presley was. Before she ever saw a photograph of him. Before she ever heard a single song. Before she knew he was dead. The child drew the exact moment of his death. The place. The position of the body. Details that exist only in autopsy reports. How is this possible? This is the true story of an ordinary family that discovered something they still cannot explain to this day. A story that will make you question everything you believe about memory, consciousness, and what happens after we die. Brace yourself. Because what you're about to read may keep you awake tonight. Nashville, Tennessee. Fall of 2019. Rebecca Thompson is an elementary school teacher. 32 years old, divorced, single mother to a little girl named Emma. They live in a modest apartment in a quiet suburb where everyone knows one another, and nothing extraordinary ever happens. Emma has just turned 5. She's a child like any other, loves Disney cartoons, is afraid of the dark, sleeps clutching a stuffed bear named Mr. Buttons. She goes to kindergarten every morning, plays on the playground, comes home covered in dirt and smiles. Rebecca is careful about what her daughter is exposed to. No unsupervised television. No internet. No cell phone in the hands of such a young child. Emma is growing up inside a protective bubble surrounded by children's books, puzzles, and soft classical music. The TV is never on the news. Celebrities are never discussed at the dinner table. Emma's grandmother, who lives in another state, has never once mentioned Elvis Presley or any other icon from the past. To Emma, the world is exactly 5 years old, just like her. Rebecca works part-time, spends her afternoons with her daughter, makes simple dinners, reads bedtime stories. A predictable routine. Safe. Normal. Until it wasn't. It happened on a Tuesday. Emma was sitting at the kitchen table surrounded by crayons and blank sheets of paper. Rebecca was making lunch, half distracted, listening to her daughter hum softly while she drew. "Mommy, I'm done," Emma said in her high little girl voice. Rebecca turned around, expecting another typical childish drawing, lopsided flowers, a smiling yellow sun, maybe the house with smoke curling from the chimney. But that's not what she saw. The papers showed a human figure lying on the floor. A man. Dark hair. White clothes stained with something stained them. Arms in an odd, uncomfortable position. The figure was in a small space surrounded by walls. There was a toilet drawn beside him. A sink. Crudely scribbled white tiles. A bathroom. What sent an icy chill down Rebecca's spine were the details. The man's face was turned to the side, mouth slightly open. One hand reached out as if trying to grasp something. Red marks were scattered across the floor. Blood, Rebecca realized with a knot in her stomach. Emma had used far too much red. "What is this, sweetie?" Rebecca tried to keep her voice steady. "He fell," Emma answered simply, staring at the drawing with a blank expression. No sadness. No curiosity. Just empty. "Who fell?" Emma didn't answer. She took another sheet and started drawing again. That night Emma woke up screaming. Rebecca rushed into the bedroom and found her daughter sitting upright in bed, sweating, eyes wide and fixed on something only she could see. "The floor is cold," Emma murmured, trembling. "The floor is so cold and nobody's coming. You had a nightmare, baby. Everything's okay. I can't breathe right. My chest hurts." Rebecca's heart clenched. "Is your chest hurting now?" "No. His." "Whose?" Emma blinked as if waking from a trance. "I don't know." The nightmares continued. Every night, sometimes more than once. Emma woke up repeating the same phrases. "The floor is cold. I can't breathe. Why doesn't anyone come?" During the day she began avoiding the bathroom. She only went in when absolutely necessary, always leaving the door open, always calling for Mom to stand nearby. "I don't like bathrooms," she said one day, offering no further explanation. And the drawings kept coming. Emma was drawing compulsively now. The same scene, several times a day. The man on the floor. The bathroom. The red everywhere. Each version contained more detail, the texture of the tiles, the exact position of the arms, shadows on the walls. On Thursday, while drawing, Emma muttered something that made Rebecca freeze in the middle of the room. Cardiac arrhythmia. What? Emma looked up at her mother, confused, as if she didn't know where the words had come from. I don't know what it means. Rebecca Googled it on her phone. Cardiac arrhythmia. A heart rhythm problem. How did a 5-year-old know that medical term? The next day Emma drew again. This time, while coloring the man in black and white, she began to hum. It wasn't a children's song. It was something older, with a different rhythm. Rebecca didn't recognize the melody. Where did you hear that song? She asked. Emma stopped, crayon hovering in the air. He was singing it. All the time. Who, Emma? Who was singing? The little girl looked at the drawing with eyes too sad for a child to carry. The man in the bathroom. Rebecca started saving the drawings. She put them in a folder, organized by date. It was impossible to ignore the pattern. Drawing after drawing of the same scene. But they weren't identical copies. They were variations, as if Emma were trying to capture different angles, different moments of the same tragedy. In some, the man was standing, clutching his chest. In others, on his knees. In most, collapsed on the floor. Emma always included the toilet. Always the cold floor. Always the white walls. And new details kept appearing. A book beside the body in one drawing. A magazine in another. Emma drew a red rug near the door. She drew a yellow light fixture on the ceiling. How did she know these things? Rebecca watched her daughter while she drew. Emma entered an almost meditative state. Her breathing slowed. Her gaze grew distant. Sometimes tears slid silently down her cheeks, yet she didn't seem to notice she was crying. Emma, why are you sad? He's alone, the girl answered without looking up from the paper. Nobody knows he's gone yet. Rebecca felt goosebumps rise on her arms. Once, mid-drawing, Emma suddenly stopped and stared at her own hand in confusion. My hand hurts, she said. What, honey? He was holding something. Squeezing it really hard. It made his hand hurt. Emma flexed her fingers as if trying to ease a pain that wasn't hers. The drawings began to include words. Emma was just learning to write at school. Her spelling was still very basic. Still, she started writing things in the margins. Graceland. She wrote in big crooked letters. Rebecca Googled it. Graceland. Elvis Presley's mansion in Memphis. Her blood ran cold. August. Emma wrote on another drawing. Tuesday. 1977. Rebecca took every drawing and spread them across the living room floor. She stared at them all together, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. Trying to rationalize the impossible. All those images. That dark-haired man. That bathroom. Those dates. No. It couldn't be. Rebecca waited until Emma was asleep before she began researching. She sat on the couch with her laptop, hands shaking as she typed. Elvis Presley death. The results flooded her. Elvis Aaron Presley. Died August 16, 1977. Found in the bathroom of his master suite at Graceland. Age 42. Rebecca opened image after image. Read article after article. Watched old documentaries on YouTube with the volume almost off, terrified of waking Emma. The more she read, the more disturbed she became. According to reports, Elvis was found collapsed on the bathroom floor, wearing pajamas. The door was locked from the inside. He had been reading a religious book while on the toilet when he fell. Rebecca picked up one of Emma's drawings. The man was holding something. A rectangular object. A book? The official cause of death was heart attack due to cardiac arrhythmia, the exact words Emma had murmured days earlier. Rebecca searched for photos of Graceland's bathroom. Very few existed publicly, the family kept that space private. But she found some old photos and descriptions in biographies. White and gold floor tiles. Light walls. A red carpet near the door. Exactly as Emma had drawn it. Rebecca zoomed in on an old photo of the bathroom. There was a distinctive ceiling light, a decorative gold fixture. She grabbed one of Emma's most recent drawings. There it was, childishly rendered but unmistakable, a round yellow light on the ceiling. How could a 5-year-old who had never heard of Elvis Presley, who had never seen a picture of that bathroom, draw these details. Rebecca called her own mother at 2 a.m. "Have you ever talked to Emma about Elvis?" Her voice was desperate. "What? Rebecca, it's 2 in the morning. What are you talking about?" "Elvis Presley, Mom. Have you ever mentioned him around Emma?" "No, honey." "Why? What's going on?" Rebecca told her everything. The drawings. The strange words. The impossible details. There was a long silence on the line. "Rebecca," her mother finally said, voice low, "you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. When you were little, 4 years old, you did the exact same thing." "What?" "You kept drawing a man drowning in a bathtub. Over and over. Saying he couldn't get out, that the water was too hot. You had nightmares for months. Then it stopped, and you never remembered it." Rebecca felt the room spin. "Who was the man?" "We never found out." Rebecca didn't sleep that night. The next morning she made strong coffee and did what she had been avoiding. She showed Emma pictures of Elvis. "Emma, sweetie, come here for a second." The little girl shuffled into the kitchen still in pajamas, dragging Mr. Buttons by one ear. Rebecca opened the laptop on the table. "I want to show you some pictures." She started with photos of young Elvis, 1950s Elvis in his leather jacket with that rebellious smile. Emma looked politely curious but showed no recognition. "Do you know this man?" Rebecca asked, watching her daughter's face closely. "No." Rebecca showed more photos. 1960s Elvis. Movie Elvis. Vegas Elvis. Nothing. Then, hand trembling, Rebecca pulled up a photo of 1970s Elvis, darker hair, fuller face, wearing one of the iconic white jumpsuits from his final concerts. Emma froze. Her small body went completely still. Her eyes widened. Her breathing quickened. "It's him," she whispered. "Who, Emma?" "The man in the bathroom." Tears started rolling down Emma's cheeks without her blinking or looking away from the screen. "He looks so tired in this picture," she said, her voice strangely adult. "It hurts so much. Everything hurts." Rebecca felt tears in her own eyes. "How do you know that?" "I just know." Emma gently touched the screen as if she could feel the photograph. "He didn't want to die. He was scared. Not of dying, but that no one would remember the real him. Only the image. Only what they wanted to see." These were not the words of a 5-year-old. Rebecca pulled Emma into a tight hug. Both of them were crying now. "Who is this man?" Emma asked against her mother's shoulder. "His name was Elvis Presley. He was a very famous singer. He died a long time ago, sweetheart. Long before you were born." Emma pulled back, looking at her mother with huge, confused eyes. "Then why do I remember him?" It was the question Rebecca had no answer for. That afternoon Rebecca printed the Wikipedia article about Elvis's death. She laid out every one of Emma's drawings beside the information. Date: Emma had written August and 1977. Elvis died August 16, 1977. Location: Emma repeatedly drew a bathroom with very specific features. Elvis was found in the bathroom of his Graceland master suite. Body position: Emma's drawings showed the man on the floor, one arm outstretched. Reports say Elvis was found face down on the bathroom carpet, one arm extended. Cause: Emma murmured. Cardiac arrhythmia. The official autopsy listed cardiac arrhythmia as the cause of death. Book: Emma drew a rectangular object near the body. Elvis had been reading a book about the Holy Spirit when he died. Red carpet: Emma included a red rug in her drawings. There was a red carpet in Graceland's bathroom. Every single detail matched. Rebecca clutched the papers to her chest and cried, not from sadness, but from a deep, primal fear of something she could not comprehend. The following weeks were the hardest of Rebecca's life. Emma stopped eating properly. She lost weight. Dark circles deepened under her eyes. The nightmares grew worse. She woke 3-4 times a night screaming about loneliness and chest pain. Rebecca took her to a pediatrician. Then another. Tests were run. Everything was physically normal. Is she under any stress? The second doctor asked. How could Rebecca explain? My daughter thinks she has memories of Elvis Presley's death. Doesn't go on a medical chart. Rebecca quit her job. She spent every penny of savings to stay home with Emma. Bills piled up. She didn't care. At night, lying awake, Rebecca asked herself impossible questions. What if Emma really had lived before? What if some fragment, some memory from another life lived inside her? What if Elvis Presley had somehow, impossibly, come back through her daughter? The thought was absurd. Ridiculous. Impossible. But the drawings? The words? The details no one could possibly know unless they had been there? Rebecca started having her own nightmares, dreams of a dark-haired man trapped in a bathroom, screaming for help that never came. She would wake in a sweat and run to Emma's room to make sure she was still breathing. You're losing your mind, she told her reflection. You have to stop. But she couldn't stop. Because Emma didn't stop. One day Emma drew something different. Not the bathroom this time. A big house with white columns. A gate. Trees all around. What's this? Rebecca asked. It's his house. Our house. Emma paused, confused by her own words. His house. His. Not mine. Do you want to go there? The words left Rebecca's mouth before she could think better of them. Emma looked up with hope for the first time in weeks. Can I? Rebecca picked up her phone. She searched. Visit Graceland. Tours ran every day. Families visited all the time. It was a museum, a memorial. What harm could come from an educational day trip? Everything, her mind screamed. Everything is wrong with this. But she was already buying the tickets. During the drive from Nashville to Memphis, Rebecca tried to organize her thoughts. Were there rational explanations? There had to be. Maybe Emma had glimpsed something on a TV in passing, at a store, at someone's house. Subliminal images her young brain processed into drawings. Cryptomnesia, forgotten memories that resurface as if new. Possible? But how to explain details never shown on television? The specific red carpet? The ceiling light? The exact body position? Maybe it was an elaborate coincidence. The human brain looks for patterns that aren't there. Rebecca was seeing connections because she wanted to see them. But 1977? August? Cardiac arrhythmia? Rebecca thought about reincarnation. She had never been religious, had never believed in life after death or souls traveling between bodies. But there were studies, weren't there? Dr. Ian Stevenson had documented thousands of cases of children remembering past lives. Could Emma be one of those children? But why Elvis Presley? Why someone so famous? If reincarnation is real, wouldn't it make more sense for people to return as ordinary unknowns? Unless it wasn't reincarnation. Unless it was something else. Collective consciousness? Genetic memory? Psychic connection? Rebecca had read about sensitive children, people who pick up information from unknown sources. Mediums. Channels. Maybe Emma was linked to something larger than normal human understanding. Or maybe she was simply ill. Maybe there was something neurologically wrong that no doctor had detected yet. Maybe the drawings were symptoms of a condition medicine didn't fully understand. Rebecca didn't know. And the more she thought, the less certain she became. The only thing she knew for sure was that in 20 minutes she and Emma would walk through the gates of Graceland. And then, what? What happens when a child who draws impossible memories finally visits the place those memories came from? Rebecca gripped the steering wheel tighter and kept driving. They parked outside Graceland at 3 p.m. Emma stared out the car window at the white mansion with its tall columns. She said nothing. Just stared. Rebecca bought tickets. Took Emma's hand. They joined a tour group, retirees with cameras, bored teenagers, Elvis fans in t-shirts bearing his face. They walked through the rooms. The living room with the famous piano. The TV room with 3 televisions side by side. The jungle room with its green lights and indoor waterfall. Emma was quiet. attentive, taking everything in. And then they reached the staircase leading to the second floor. A velvet rope blocked the way. A sign read, "Upstairs closed to public. The family's private quarters remain closed out of respect," the guide explained. "Including the bedroom and bathroom where Elvis spent his final moments." Emma let go of Rebecca's hand. Before anyone could stop her, she ran, ducked under the rope, raced up the stairs. "Emma!" Rebecca screamed, running after her. Security moved, but Emma was small and fast. She reached the top, turned left down the hallway, and stopped in front of a closed door. Rebecca caught up, breathless, with two guards right behind. Emma placed her tiny hand on the door. "Here," she whispered. "He was here. Alone. So scared." Tears streamed down her face. "He didn't want it to be like this. He didn't want to be found like that." Rebecca knelt beside her daughter, pulling her into a hug while the guards waited respectfully a few steps back. "It's okay, Emma. He's not scared anymore. Wherever he is now, he's at peace." Emma looked up at her mother with those ancient eyes. "How do you know?" And Rebecca realized she didn't know. She didn't know anything. They were politely escorted out. No charges were filed. Rebecca muttered apologies. Emma said nothing more. In the car on the way home, Emma finally spoke. "Mommy?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "I don't think I'll draw that man anymore." Rebecca felt a wave of relief. "No? No. I think he can rest now. Someone saw. Someone knows he was scared. That it wasn't pretty like the books say. That it was lonely and sad and he just wanted it to be over." A heavy silence filled the car. "How do you know these things, Emma?" The little girl stared out the window at the highway lights flashing by. "I don't know, Mommy. But sometimes, when it's really quiet, I can still feel the cold floor." They drove the rest of the way home in silence. 3 years have passed since that day. Emma is 8 now. She no longer draws the bathroom. She no longer has the nightmares. She lives a normal life, school, friends, cartoons. But sometimes, when she's very quiet, Rebecca catches her staring into space with an ancient, distant expression. In those moments Rebecca wonders who is really looking out through those eyes. The drawings are stored in a box at the back of a closet. Rebecca can't bring herself to throw them away. She can't bring herself to show them to anyone either. Sometimes, late at night, she takes them out and studies every line, every impossible detail drawn by her little girl's hand. And she wonders, how many other children in the world are drawing things they shouldn't know? How many carry memories that aren't theirs? How many secrets of the dead are trapped in innocent pictures hanging on ordinary families' refrigerators? Last week Emma made a new drawing. A blonde woman in a car. Flowers all around. Broken glass. "Who is this?" Rebecca asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't know yet," Emma answered. "But she's calling." Rebecca folded the paper and added it to the box with the others. And at night, lying in bed, she wonders, when will this stop? Will it ever stop? Or is Emma simply the kind of child who sees what others cannot? Who remembers what others have forgotten? An antenna for the echoes of the dead. Rebecca has no answers. Only questions that grow every day. And the terrible certainty that some doors, once opened, never fully close. Today Emma is out in the yard. She's drawing again. Rebecca hasn't found the courage to look at what's on the paper. Not yet. But she knows she will eventually have to look. She always has to look. And then she will find out who is calling her daughter now. Who is trying to be remembered. Who cannot rest until someone, somewhere, acknowledges their death for what it really was. Not a myth. Not a legend. Just a human being. Alone. Afraid. Wanting someone to know the truth. And for some impossible, incomprehensible, supernatural reason. That someone is an 8-year-old girl in Nashville, Tennessee. A child who draws people's final moments. A child who cannot explain how she knows. A child who carries the secrets of the dead in her small hands. And no one, not Rebecca, not the doctors, not the experts, not you, can say for certain whether this is a gift or a curse, memory or madness, real or impossible. All we know is this: Emma drew Elvis Presley dying before she ever knew who he was. And if she could do that, what else might she draw? Who else is waiting to be seen? And when will it be your turn to appear on the page? This story is based on real accounts of children who claim to remember past lives. The events have been dramatized for narrative purposes. Emma and Rebecca are fictitious names. The phenomena described remain without definitive scientific explanation to this day. And somewhere, a child is drawing something they shouldn't know. Perhaps someone you know. Perhaps you.